boy Oscino Fly back on another review, and this time continuing all the black shows that's been coming on Netflix. Now we're getting to Girlfriends. Now Girlfriends is one of the shows that I used to watch heavily when I was younger, but towards the later seasons I stopped watching. Maybe because I got older, but I still have an appreciation for Girlfriends when I was a little bit. It was one of the shows that I used to watch with my mom too. My mom is a big fan of Girlfriends, so when I told her that, Girlfriends was on Netflix, I know she was jumping for joy. What do I think about it? Because I have a adoration for, I feel like me and Charlamagne, the only straight men that I know that really watch Girlfriends like that is me and Charlamagne the God. I don't know any other straight dudes that be watching Girlfriends like that consistently, but like I said, I like good writing, I like good shows, and I'm always been a fan of black sitcoms. I've always grown up on black sitcoms. Girlfriends is one of those shows that at its time, and even then looking back at it, is a great show that it shows a lot of shows for black women in the most three-dimensional ways. The funny thing is about Girlfriends to me as a black man, when I look at it, these girls are, although they're lovable, they can be toxic at the fucking same time. As far as the actresses, I love Tracee Ellis Ross. I think she is very hilarious. I think she has great comedic timing, and I think she's a very, very talented actress. Like you see her on Blackish right now, I think she really still is talented. She did that show, I can't remember the show's called, but it was with Malcolm and Jamal Warner. I thought she fit, that type with that too. All the other ones, Jill Marie Jones that played, Tony Childs. One thing I would say about the characters is that everybody fits their role. Tracee Ellis Ross is Joan. She plays that role perfectly. And this is what I mean. Everybody plays that role perfectly. If you would have put different women in that role, it probably would not have been as good as the way these women have chosen to play this role. For one, I think Tracee Ellis Ross is probably, even though it kind of circles around, four of these women girlfriends, you can tell that Joan is always at the center stage. And it's even shown it on the show too, because sometimes the house where most of their conflict happens at Joan's house, and mostly happens at Joan's work, even though all four of them have equal scenarios. Until the later seasons where it's like three of them, they all have their own individuality and shows a lot of panache, I guess. It's just, they play their roles perfectly. I'm not trying to be all fancy with it, but not to jump up on words, but they play the role perfectly. Like, you love them at one point and then you hate them at one point. One thing I like one thing about this that a lot of people, they try to figure out which girlfriends they are. A lot of you women think you're Joan. No, you're not Joan. Most of y'all are Tony Childs. Let's be real. Okay, and what is this saying? It's like, which girlfriend are you and all that other stuff. And everybody likes to see, I think a lot of women likes to think they're Joan because she's the one that, she's been the voice of reason on that show. She's always like the goody and all that other stuff. When everybody comes to her, a lot of y'all think you're Joan. Nah, some of y'all Tony Childs, and a lot of y'all are Maya. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of these women got good traits and they got a lot of bad traits. Joan, yes, she is smart, she's intelligent, but at the same time, she cannot find a man to save her life. She's wishy-washy, she has controlling issues, and sometimes she can come off a little bit corny. The corniness is kind of cute, and that's what's the beauty of Joan and Tracee Ellis Ross. When she does some corny shit in there, it is hilarious. And it's also cute. It's like you don't see a 30-year-old woman doing like random holidays and all that stuff and just being excited about holidays and all that stuff. I've seen women like that. It's corny, but it's also cute. And no one does it better than Tracee Ellis Ross. Maya's the hood chick, and played by Golden Brooks. Maya's the goat. Like, she's very hood, but she's also more or less the more down-to-earth people. So she is not as bougie as all the other ones, even though like Lynn, you wouldn't call really Lynn bougie, more or less hip, but she did grow up in a bougie lifestyle. But as far as Maya, she's the more hood one, the more down to earth one. She's the more, she'll tell you like it is, get real with it, She's basically the hood, but not stereotypically hood, which is really I actually really appreciate that. Like, yes, you can tell she has some hood in her. Like, she can get hood, but she's not totally hood. She knows how to, like, when she's at her workplace, she knows how to switch into the workplace. But yet, you still see a little bit of African American vernacular in her. That, you know, she'll still throw some slang in there, but she's not totally hood to where it's just like she's a stereotypical black woman. She has that balance. The bad thing about that is sometimes she does jump to conclusions too much, and sometimes she's wrong. And she may not admit that she's wrong all the time, but you know, she will jump to conclusions. And I feel like her being going through a divorce and a marriage, it was just, I don't want to say forced, but it was just like, okay. It's just like, once she got back with Darnell and all that stuff, you can tell these are meant for each other, but I think they're trying to throw the marriage thing and then single black woman thing and all that other stuff. I think they're trying to throw that all into Maya, which I don't think they need to. Tell you the truth, I honestly felt like Maya should have never divorced Darnell. I don't feel like that was really needed, but they put it in there. They made her a single mother, and then they ended up getting married again and all that other stuff. So she did both of that. But anyway, but as far as Golden, like I said, all these women play their character perfectly. Golden Brooks is no different. Lynn, played by Persia White. Lynn, okay, I would say this. A lot of women, especially, she's more, I guess she's the more modern day women. I feel like a lot of people will look at Lynn more as the modern day women, especially a lot of women that wear crop tops and sexually liberated. Some people will look at her as a hoe, and some people will look at her as sexually liberated and, you know, just want to do, which you're both right. Let's be real, they're both right. She has her hoe moments, and yet she is sexually liberated, and she's very smart about them. The thing about Lynn that I feel like a lot of people can relate, she has 5 degrees, and yet still mooches off of her friends and all that other stuff. Her parents done paid for her. Her parents done paid for her student loans. Joan done let her live on the couch for like this. She is basically, like, they had to give her a job. They had to make her do something, because throughout that whole 8 seasons, she was damn near a moocher. Like, she jumped from house to house. She was sometimes, she sometimes get her anger out through sex. She get her stresses out through sex. Like, anything that has to do with like sexual liberation or, you know, wholeness, I feel like they got it through Lynn. And I feel like a lot of y'all are hoes. Some of y'all not gonna like this, but I feel like a lot of y'all feel like y'all sexually liberated, but some of y'all are hoes. Don't get me wrong. You can sleep with, I'm not saying she can't sleep who she want to sleep with. You can sleep with whoever you want to sleep with, but just be real about it. There's sometimes she does have some hoes behavior, like her being with a man that was celibate with, and she just, the whole time they was with her, she was trying to break his celibacy just to have sex with him, just because he looked good. She never really respected his celibacy, and he ended up getting broken up, but you know, that's what it was. But you could tell, like, she, like, that's where she gets her knowledge from, the sex. But at the same time, you can tell Lynn is a smart woman. She's also kind of a hustler. She knows how to get like, when they made her get a job, she knows how to get a job. She may have bounced around on so many jobs, but she knew how to get her job and all that other stuff. And last but not least, probably one of my favorites, Tony Childs. Tony Childs is toxic, but, and like, the one thing I like about Tony Childs is that she admits you can tell she admits she is toxic. She knows she's all about herself. It's all about Tony Childs. Alright? Everything about it gotta revolve around Tony Childs. And Jill Marie Jones plays this character, and like I said, all these characters played it perfectly, but just, like, Tony Childs is, you could tell, like, when she wasn't there in the last 2 seasons, it was something missing. But don't get me wrong, the last three women carried that show until the end. But I would say it did miss a lot of Tony Childs. Tony Childs does get your humor. Tony Childs, and look, she probably loved me talking about her like this, but Tony, like, she was narcissistic. She was all about herself. She was selfish and all that other stuff, and yet she played it perfectly. But yeah, sometimes she did keep it real. Like, she was one of the people who's like she did not hide her intuitions or like opinions. She did not hide her intuitions. She did not hide her opinions. She did not hide what she thought about you. And like, if she thought you was less than, you was less than, she'll let you know. If you thought that you wasn't worth her time, she will tell you you're not worth her time. Like, she it's the epitome of the woman that wanted to date the hypergamous man. Like, the man gotta have this, the man gotta have that, the man gotta have this, and all that other stuff. So, with that, but she did have her own fucking job, and she did have her own real estate business. So she was a worker. That's the one thing, there's a balance of these characters, but they're three-dimensional. But their toxic traits really did show, especially Tony. And one thing, like I said, Tony, yes, she's probably one of the most toxic friends you will ever see. Yes, but she was also one of the realest. And she just owns it. And I think that's the beautiful part about Tony Child's character. William is hilarious. William is that straight friend, because obviously he can get any woman he want. He dated like two of the four girlfriends, Joan and Len. Well, Len was actually sex buddies. But anyway, like William got his. He wasn't no dork. He wasn't no geek. He was smart, but he was also like, he wasn't a dork. He wasn't a geek. He was about his, job. He was about his law. There was times he was about his money, and sometimes like he will give you the male point of view to these ladies. Sometimes he'll put them ladies in their place, and sometimes he's playing hilarious. It's funny when he like calls them heifers right in their face, and sometimes like bitches and all that other stuff, and just like he's a great comedy relief, and he's actually one of my favorites. It's like anytime he's on there, he delivers his scene, and he delivers it perfectly. I feel like that show needed him, especially like for the male audience. For the female audience that probably watched that show, I feel like William was the perfect type. Cause one thing, like as someone that has a lot of female friends, sometimes you do want to keep it real with them. Sometimes you don't want them. Sometimes you can't. You want to empower your girlfriends, which he did. But sometimes he like kept it real with them and not kissed their ass, especially when they was fucking with his money or they did something to him. He kept it real. He went through. It's funny cause like him and Joan went through the most loves. Like he had a bunch of, but at times William was wishy-washy himself, especially like he had all these beautiful women, yet he did not. It seems like he couldn't keep a relationship until Monica, and he like dated Monica on and off most of it. But he did date a lot of beautiful women on there, and I think he did his part perfectly. As the writing is really well done. I felt like everything about this is relatable, especially about the modern women problems during that time. I think even then, like women can relate to it right now. But the modern women troubles, finding a man, finding a good man, infidelity, cheating, marriage, sex, like they talk about it all. None of it's over dramatic. It's actually for adult comedy. It's not that over dramatic like The Game. It's really lighthearted, and that I can appreciate it. But was it serious when it was serious? Like the AIDS episode with Elise Neal. Yes, and it did that correctly. Especially when it was talking about HIV and AIDS, which around that time, even though it's still a big thing, but they was really trying to put safe sex and all that other stuff on TV and all that other stuff just to make sure people was doing it, and they was doing it right. Yes, I feel like it did all of that. So kudos to the writing out there. The scenery, LA, although I've never been to LA, it does kind of make you want to go to LA just for the weather and all that other stuff. But overall, if you haven't been watching, because it's already out, and basically I should have been done having this review, so I'm pretty sure some of y'all already finished binge watching like I did. And some of y'all really enjoyed Girlfriends like I did. Like, watching this as an adult, and even though looking back at things like them blocky ass computers and them talking about, PlayStation 2s and all that other stuff, and it's just, it's a nostalgia kick, but at the same time, it's really relatable. And one thing I would say about Girlfriends is really relatable. It's a shame that it never got the season finale it deserved. It's a shame that it never got to finish their story. And I don't know if it's ever going to finish their story, but I feel like, and if it would have come back and, finish their story, I would love to see it. So, go ahead, if you haven't been watching Girlfriends, go ahead and watch it. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of think pieces about it. There's a bunch of which girlfriend you use. There's probably a bunch of who would you rather be, or Joan, Lynn, like I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of those already. So if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. It's on Netflix. So with that being said, my name is Oscino and I'm out. Peace.
Fancy ass man wear glove of rings, flying around town in a tub of wings. Found out how to make love to fiends. He mixing that fudge with the drug of dreams. She too teenage to have a drug of choice, but she fuck with that Royce like she love Detroit. She rollin'.
Pharaoh.